Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online Series 9 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we are trying out a really interesting team from the Players Cup 4 online qualifiers. This was built and used by a player called Daffel, and they actually posted about this on the VGC subreddit, which is where I saw the team, but they made it to the top 16 of the European regional qualifiers, which is a really impressive accomplishment. And yeah, they went, I think, like 7-2 in the first stage to make it to the top 16. And this is just one of the most fascinating teams I've seen in Series 9, and was able to do very, very well in tournament in an open team sheet format as well, which I think is super cool. And that tournament was best of 3, by the way, as well. So while this looks kind of like a best of 1 team, or a team that's more oriented for best of 1 play, it can still be very, very good in best of 3. So please go check out the team report by the original creator. I've linked that in the description below. It has a lot of good description for kind of how all the sets were built and what they're designed to do. And there's also a paste courtesy of them linked down in the description below as well. But of course, I wanted to feature this team because there are a lot of fun Pokemon on it, right? You've got Life Orb Naganadel, Focus Sash Gardevoir, Eject Button Whimsicott, which we haven't used in a while, AV Zapdos, and Thick Club Marowak, as well as the Psychic Seed Indeedee. So Naganadel is going to be one of the primary stars on this team. Like, you have 2 really good max options in Naganadel and Zapdos. Marowak can be a really good max option as well, but it really depends on the matchup. And then Indeedee Gardevoir is also really interesting. You don't see Gardevoir very frequently, but the reason why the Gardevoir is on the team is because it's actually a really good way to shut down opposing Trick Room Pokemon. As you can see, this team is very offensive. There is basically no protect other than on Marowak, so you're really looking to just win games as quickly as possible and snowball with Pokemon like Zapdos and like the Naganadel. So Trick Room typically is going to be a pretty bad matchup, especially like hard Trick Room, because like there's just no defense on this team. And so this is where Gardevoir really comes in handy. Imprison is like a really nice way to shut down Trick Room, and very few people expect it. We've seen it a little bit throughout the years, but it's never been like a very, very common staple of any format. But I've sometimes gotten questions like, hey, what's a good way to shut down Trick Room? Like, I just keep losing to Indeedee Porygon, Indeedee Dusclops, because there's no way I can deny the Trick Room. And the answer actually is this Gardevoir. That's one of the answers, but this Gardevoir is going to be very helpful into the specific like hard Trick Room teams that sometimes you might run into on the ladder. So Imprison's really valuable there, and it's also nice because you can actually imprison Expanding Force from opposing Indeedees, and often the teams that set up Trick Room like guaranteed is going to be Indeedee with Focus Sash plus like a Trick Room user. So the Gardevoir here is really cool. Whimsicott, pretty self-explanatory, but of course has the Eject Button plus Switcheroo combination. Do be a little bit careful with this team because you do have the Indeedee, so you don't want to set up that Psychic terrain before you go for the Switcheroo. That Switcheroo is typically going to come out on turn 1, and of course this is just one of the strongest strategies in best of 1 because yeah, if you just eject a Dynamax Pokemon out before they even get to attack, it gives you such a big advantage. So to round out the team, you've got the Naganadel, the Galarian Zapdos, and the Marowak. We've used AV Galarian Zapdos a bit throughout Series 9. Actually, it's probably been one of the more common sets that we featured, so don't need to talk about it very much, but of course it's just like a nice answer into all the Intimidators, especially the Incineroars and the Landoruses that you see practically on every team. And then Naganadel, that's really the star of this team. So Naganadel is a Pokemon I haven't really seen very much in Series 9 at all, and it has a really incredible move pool, right? Like Draco Meteor, Sludge Bomb, Flamethrower, Air Slash, that allows you to do so much damage when maxed. And Naganadel also, of course, is a Ultra Beast, so it has that Beast Boost ability, allowing you to further snowball games. You pick up 1 KO, and then suddenly when you have Helping Hand support with Whimsicott, Naganadel is basically one-shotting everything. It can even one-shot a lot of Dynamax Pokemon. So it's very frail. You do have to be very careful on how you play with it, but ideally you can just pick up a KO on your opponent or use the Eject Button Switcheroo combination to force them out before they can really move. And so with Naganadel, you can snowball super quickly. You can also give speed boosts onto your teammates like Zapdos and Marowak. This Marowak, by the way, is max speed, and so it can take advantage of Tailwind and potential speed boosts from Naganadel. And finally, Marowak's just on the team for Lightning Rod support and obviously good offense, but that Lightning Rod support is really valuable to protect the Zapdos a little bit more. And it also actually prevents Eerie Impulse onto Naganadel. So yeah, this is definitely one of the coolest teams that I've seen in Series 9, and for it to make it to the top 16 of the Players Cup 4 qualifiers in Europe was really impressive. So congrats to Daffel on an amazing run. Thanks to them for sharing this team. Once again, details are in the description below. And thanks to you all as always for watching Road to Ranked. If you enjoy, please show support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. And question of the day, I want to know what you think is one Pokemon that's currently slept on in Series 9. I asked that because, of course, Naganadel is something I did not have on my radar at all. I definitely slept on this Pokemon, so that's one of the answers. But I still think people are sleeping on Mamoswine, to be honest. Like, we used it previously, just a few teams ago, and I was really impressed by it. And I feel like it's probably one of the strongest potential anti-meta Pokemon in the format, so that's another answer. But curious on your takes, all in the description below. And without further ado, let's get started. Alright, getting into the first game here, and I feel like there should be a Colossal on that team, because there's so many things I would expect with Colossal, but then there's no Colossal. But there's a Blastoise, which is definitely scary, as well as the Clefairy. Okay. So how do I want to approach this? What's our best option? Honestly, Galarian Zapdos looks really sweet here. Whimsicott for potential eject is nice, but they have obviously 2 fake out users. And I think Clefairy plus Blastoise is probably the lead I'm actually most nervous about. So I think I'm going to go Whimsicott plus Zapdos, because the thing is I can go for Trick plus Max Knuckle or Airstream on a Blastoise turn 1. If they follow me, then I take away Eviolite, that's great. And if they don't follow me, well then I just eject the Blastoise out, and that's fantastic. I like Naganadel in the back for this one. And who do I want as the last one? Indeedee, Gardevoir. Probably Gardevoir, mainly because of the Focus Sash. Yeah, I think having Sash here is nice. So, yeah, pretty interesting team for my opponent. Like, Clefairy plus Blastoise is super scary, just like Helping Hand, Life Orb. Dragapult likely is a strong max option as well. So I gotta watch out for that. And yeah, like Naganadel is interesting here, but obviously I'm a little bit nervous about like Helping Hand Max Hailstorm from Blastoise turn 1. It is going to be Clefairy plus Dragapult. Okay. Well, this is okay. I think turn 1 I am just going to go for the Trick plus the Max Airstream onto the Zapdos slot. Yeah. And by Trick I mean Switcheroo, but yeah. Because the idea here is Dragapult shouldn't one-shot us. Well, they can one-shot the Whimsicott. I guess I'm nervous about Helping Hand Life Orb Max Airstream turn 1 just onto the Zapdos slot. Now I have the question, like, where's the Life Orb on this team? I think it's definitely on Dragapult or Blastoise, and based off this lead, I'm thinking it's more likely to be on Dragapult, with Blastoise maybe being like Wakomberry. But let's see. The other question is whether or not Dragapult has Max Airstream, right? Like most Dragapults, when the starter Sword and Shield carried it, Dragapult now is evolved into a little bit of a different Pokemon in Series 9 where you don't see it being used as like a huge offensive threat as much. They're not Dynamaxing turn 1. That could imply a potential Dragon Dance, but I'd actually be okay with Dragon Dance if it means ejecting Clefairy out and getting a speed boost, because then I can just Tailwind. Best case is Clefairy goes for like a Protect here, but I think that's highly unlikely. If they're not Dynamaxing Dragapult, this should just be a follow me, I think, turn 1. Oh, it's not. Huh. It could be a Sing from Clefairy, which would be really bad. Okay, they were Life Orb. And wow, they Phantom Force. That's a play. Wow, nicely done. As they go for a Dazzling Gleam. Okay. So obviously we're going to take a Phantom Force right now. That was a great play on their end. I think I'm down to just go for a Tailwind right now and go for a Max Knuckle onto the Clefairy. You're not going to Dynamax Dragapult after I gave you the eject button here. I think Clefairy is pretty likely to Protect, but yeah, that was like a pretty hard read on their end turn 1, I think. If I just Max Airstream Clefairy, we would be in a pretty nice spot. I don't regret Max Airstreaming Dragapult there, though, because I have to cover for Dragapult potentially maxing on turn 1. And getting rid of its Life Orb and, like, turning into a less scary Dynamax Sword is still pretty valuable for us. So, I'll take it. And then we'll also set up Tailwind for the later turns. But I'm obviously just completely whiffed a Max move there, which really sucks for something like Zapdos, which wants to snowball the game pretty much as quickly as possible. So we'll get Tailwind up. They did not protect the Clefairy, interestingly enough, but that means they might protect next turn. Either way, I'll get the Knuckle off here. Actually pretty good damage considering that it resists. Like if I went Knuckle turn 1 into Clefairy into Airstream turn 2, that would have been really sweet. That's fine. There's Phantom Force. That should KO Whimsicott, I would think. Well, we actually survived, but I think Dazzle should finish it off now. Yeah. Okay, so I have Tailwind. I got an attack boost on the Zapdos, and I get a free switch in right now. Pretty free to go into Naganadel, I think, yeah. It's actually a really good position for Naganadel. It's actually, like, Naganadel's probably better as a non-Dynamax sweeper in this game, because, yeah, I can just Sludge Bomb now into the Clefairy slot and then go for an Airstream here onto the Dragapult slot. You would think Clefairy protects in this position, but that's fine. A lot of this now hinges off what my opponent Dynamaxes, right? It's not going to be the Dragapult, so it's very likely Blastoise if they have that in the back. Oh, that's interesting. They're still maxing Dragapult. Even with the eject button. I'm guessing they're expecting, like, I don't know if Life Orb Sludge Bomb KOs Clefairy. That's what it hinges off of. If it does, I think we actually just win the game here. Because they're just going to go for Follow Me here, right? And then try to get a one-hit KO with Dragapult. Yeah. So we have Life Orb Sludge Bomb right now on Naganadel, and if that does enough, I really think we should just win the match. Because then we're just going to eject the Dragapult out before he even gets to do anything. Yeah, that was a really risky play for them to make, I think. Now I get a Beast Boost as well, and I have Tailwind, and I give it a Speed Boost. Yeah. I'm guessing my opponent went all in on that play, and I guess they were probably just hoping that Sludge Bomb wouldn't do enough to KO. So, I mean, this puts us in a fantastic position, right? Because the main issue initially was that my opponent conserved their Dynamax really, really well. But I'm guessing there's like a decent chance it's Incineroar and Rilalboom in the back, honestly. I guess the only awkward thing here is I can't Fake Out right now, and I do wish now I kind of brought Indeedee, because if I had brought Indeedee, I could have just switched the Zapdos out into Indeedee. Like, Dragon Darts from this Dragapult is still definitely going to be an issue. But I suppose you can't Fake Out both of my Pokemon, and now I just have two Pokemon under Tailwind with a Speed Boost and a Special Attack and an Attack Boost on Naganadel and Zapdos, respectively. So, Naganadel was actually so critical here, but I couldn't use it as my main Dynamax option because I think if I just let it, I'm just going to get dunked on by that Dragapult turn 1. So, yeah. I wonder if also maybe my opponent just kind of forgot that I actually tricked the eject button onto a turn 1. That would make some sense. Okay, it's going to be Urshifu. Urshifu is actually pretty scary here because of the Sash, assuming it has Sash. And Dragapult comes back out. Okay, that's actually pretty good for us, I would say, all things considered. I've got Gardevoir in the back. 2 turns of Tailwind left, so that's good. I don't want to miss. Sludge Bomb should KO. Just do protect one of these Pokemon right now. It's Water Urshifu, so you actually don't do that much into Naganadel. And with Gardevoir in the back, with Focus Sash, I mean, I could split my damage here, right? The main thing is I don't want to miss my attacks right now. So, like, it's pretty easy to just Sludge Bomb the Urshifu. And Stomping Tantrum Dragapult. I'm going to target Dragapult even though I think it's likely it protects here. Oh, they don't protect either. Okay, that's really good. And I like Sludge Bombing Urshifu here because it gives me a poison chance. And if we poison here, then it just faints, right? There we go. Obviously, it's still going to get an attack off. But yeah, that's why I wanted to split my damage that way. So I'm actually really surprised. I think they had to protect one Pokemon here and then attack with the other. But by not doing that, we just get a KO. It's going to be a double KO now because of the poison. I'm sure it's Surging Strikes into Zapdos here. Even if we didn't get the poison, though, the endgame would still be pretty good, right? It would be my Naganadel with the Speed Boost and with the Special Attack Boost. I'm actually not even sure Surging Strikes KOs Zapdos here. Yeah, wow. Nice. Zapdos even hangs on from that. So the poison just ensures us the game, but even if we didn't get the poison, we'd still be in a pretty good spot, I think. I mean, their last one surely is one of Incin Rillaboom, right? I mean, it could be Blastoise, I guess, but I'm guessing it's Incin. Would you really bring Incin into this team? It helps. That's actually Rillaboom. Okay. Yeah, so I think we had this pretty comfortably anyway. So even without the poison, especially because Zapdos actually hung on, then the end game would be you bring in Rillaboom and then Naganadel obviously just one-shots everything. Like, I didn't realize how good Naganadel was offensively into my opponent's team, but you can see also why they ended up maxing Dragapult that turn because they just didn't have a great max option at that point. Yeah, the main thing was Clefairy not going for Protect at any given point. But once Naganadel got the free switch in, it was actually like the perfect Pokemon to have out. So, yeah. Either way, now obviously we can just Sludge Bomb and Brave Bird. So even though like turn 1, like my opponent got the advantage because they kind of wasted a turn of my Dynamax, we still got the eject button onto their primary max option. If you look at my opponent's team, there's only really 2 Pokemon that are going to Dynamax, and it's Dragapult plus Blastoise. So because they didn't bring Blastoise, it makes total sense why they end up committing their Dynamax there. And of course, if the Clefairy hangs on from that Life Orb Sludge Bomb, they likely win the game there because the Dragapult will just get a KO, and that just completely turns the game, 180. But the Naganadel specifically was actually amazing into that team, but we just had to get the proper setup for it. And I didn't even assess it as like the main win condition going into that battle, really. But yeah, kudos to it because it really put on a phenomenal performance. And it looked kind of rough after turn 1, but you can see how hard Zapdos hits after a single attack boost as well. And like getting the Tailwind up and then snowballing very quickly with Naganadel and Zapdos is just really nice. And part of the reason Naganadel and Zapdos are sweet are because they match up actually really well into a lot of the common like support Pokemon, or not even support Pokemon, just the common like non-Dynamax Pokemon that you see in the format, right? Incineroar and Landorus, those Pokemon are Intimidators. They're going to activate Defiant on Zapdos. Regieleki can't do very much to Naganadel. Naganadel can pretty much one-shot it in return. Rillaboom is really, really weak into both of those. Urshifu also doesn't like one-shot, as you can see, into either of those, regardless of which Urshifu form you are. So both of those Pokemon are really cool meta choices because of the number of Pokemon that people will typically use on their teams. That just don't match up super well into it. And like you are going to see Incineroar, Rillaboom, Landorus, Galarian, Urshifu pretty much in almost all of your matches in this format. Like at least one of them on your opponent's team, right? So yeah, shoutouts to Naganadel, really put in some impressive work there, and then Zapdos was the great partner for it as well. So let's look for our next game here. And before we get started, we actually have the option to check my opponent's team. So it's not Dragon Dance here, but it actually is Fire Blast, which I think is a really smart tech because it helps you just one-shot Kartana and then deal like unexpected, fire type damage into something like Celesteela as well. You can see it's jolly, but yeah, Fire Blast helps specifically to just destroy Kartana, which actually otherwise has a really good matchup into my opponent's team, as you can see. So they didn't have Protect on Clefairy. That makes a lot of sense. And then Miracle Seed, Rillaboom. It was White Herb Shell Smash with Flash Cannon, actually. So, interestingly enough, like, yeah, Zapdos would have walled this decently well. Now, if they led Clefairy plus Blastoise turn 1, we might have actually been in a pickle if they just went for Follow Me plus Shell Smash turn 1. So it's a good thing they didn't actually bring out that Blastoise. And then the Incineroar here has Protect as well, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, overall, you can just see like the lack of good Dynamax options, especially after getting that eject button. Like my opponent really couldn't max, like anything out. You could max Urshifu at that point, but like Urshifu is so weak into Galarian Zapdos and the Naganadel. So yeah, well, it makes sense why my opponent went in with that Dragapult that turn. What was the EV spread here on Clefairy? It's more defensively invested, so I would assume Sludge Bomb with that Life Orb was a guaranteed KO, but I'm not 100% sure. But either way, let's look for our next game here. All right, second match of the day, and this is Gothitelle, kind of like hyper-offensive stuff. Like, I actually really like this team, because you have so many different modes to play with. Gothitelle Alolan for just like, Helping Hand / Max Lightnings in the early game. You have the Glastrier for a Trick Room option with the Gothitelle, and then you have Politoed Kingdra as a rain option. This is a really scary team. So, let's see. I could Tailwind with Whimsicott. I actually don't remember Zapdos. Like, do we outspeed Kingdra? We are max speed, so we should if we have Tailwind up. Indian Gardevoir is a little bit interesting here, actually. I have Naganadel as well. With Naganadel, actually, maybe we can just go with Whimsicott plus Naganadel. If you go Poly Kingdra, well, I can just Tailwind Wormwind. If you go Goth plus Alolan, I can Helping Hand, max move. I just feel like Zapdos is also a good max option here. I'll bring Zapdos in the back, and then who do I want as the last one? Indeedee or Gardevoir? I really like Gardevoir just because of it having Focus Sash, but the thing is now I'm not bringing Marowak, which means I'm really weak to Glastrier. Like, they could totally just go the Trick Room route in this game, and I don't know the item on the Gothitelle. I'm gonna guess it's not Focus Sash because there's an Urshifu on my opponent's team, but I mean, like Mentor, Resist Berry, Healing Berry, all of those make some sense. Goggles are all viable items as well as Focus Sash. They're gonna go Poly and Kingdra? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I can just Tailwind Wormwind turn 1. They don't have a switch into Wormwind either. Okay, sweet. I guess like the question is whether or not Max Wormwind one-shots Kingdra, but with Life Orb and Naganadel, I would think so. So, yep, let's just go for it. We're going to Tailwind, we're going to Max, and we're going to Wormwind. Let me just double check they don't have a switch in into it. Yeah, they actually legitimately just don't have a Dragon type switch in here, so I'm just going to go for it. I had eject button, so I could have gone like Whim Zapdos eject turn 1. They're not Dynamaxing Kingdra, okay. That's fine with me. It's probably a protect then, but like what's Politoed really going to do, right? I feel like Naganadel can just like snowball this very quickly into my opponent's team. So I'm pretty happy about the lead matchup. I'm playing it safe here turn 1 because it's like if we read into Kingdra protecting, target Politoed with an Ooze or a Wormwind, and then the Kingdra actually targets Naganadel, we're just done for, right? Interesting. They don't switch, they don't protect, so I'm now worried about Habomberry Kingdra, but that's so rare, right? Yeah, they just give us the KO. That is so good for us. Unless you're Sash? No. I was gonna say, like, Sash Kingdra is such an obscure set, because Kingdra already doesn't do enough damage. You really need a Life Orb on it, basically. Okay, perfect. So we get the Beast Boost now. Naganadel is already moving pretty well. And they just go for Muddy Water. Perfect. Now, the downside is I don't get the eject button stuff off, right? And they are going to boot out the Whimsicott. But the upside is I get a free switch in right now, which is really nice. So I think I bring out the Zapdos here. Actually, Gardevoir is not bad. No, I think we bring out Zapdos because I think if you're my opponent, you bring out Glastrier right now if you have it. If they don't have Glastrier, I think this game's already over. So let's see. It is a really big shame we got ejected out there. That is going to be Gothitelle. Wow, okay. That's really good for us. Obviously, you can fake out with Gothitelle right now. I want to deny Trick Room, so I think I'm just going to Wormwind into that slot with Life Orb and this +1 special attack. The only way you survive, I would think, is if you're Focus Sash. I can't switch out now. That would have been a reason to actually consider bringing out Gardevoir instead, but it's fine. So I'm just going to Brave Bird into Gothitelle and go for a Wormwind onto it. Politoed is not doing anything for my opponent right now. They don't even fake out with Gothitelle, which makes me think they're going for a Trick Room. Looks like they were Sashed in the end. Wow. Okay, so Urshifu is probably Choice Banded then. Maybe Scarfed? Either way, as long as they don't get Trick Room up, that's great for us, right? However, my opponent can definitely still pull off a sweep with Glastrier in this late game, so we have to still be very careful. But I had to deny Trick Room here at least, so glad that's out of the way. Okay. And they're just going to go for Muddy Water, that's fine. Accuracy drop here would be sick because it would just activate Defiant, but no drop. Surely it's Glastrier as their last one, right? If it's a Lecky, I'd actually be very happy. Or Urshifu, actually, but yeah, it's Glastrier. So then the other question is, what is your item on Glastrier? Because Glastrier could absolutely pull off a comeback right now. Because Whimsicott and Gardevoir just don't... I should have brought Marowak in the back. I just, like, really didn't feel comfortable enough with it. I have two options. One is to just Wormwind into the Politoed here. Policy Glastrier is definitely pretty likely. But I think it's one-shotting everything anyway. So I'm down to just Thunderous Kick and Max Wormwind into it right now. The Focus Sash on Gothitelle changes a lot, actually, because if it didn't have Sash, we would... Oh, they just forfeit. They did not need to forfeit that game. I think Glastrier definitely had comeback potential to win this one, especially because they didn't know what my last Pokemon was. So if I were my opponent's shoes, I would not have given up. Even though we had a really early lead, Glastrier is one of the best like Pokemon in terms of comeback potential. So I'll take the win, but I think my opponent definitely could have played that one out. Yeah, it would have come down to, like, if Glastrier had Max Guard. No, I don't think you could actually afford to Max Guard there. You have to Dynamax and you have to attack. So the thing is that you're never picking up 2 KOs. So it's like I get a really powerful Wormwind off and a Thunderous Kick. And then ideally it's in KO range from just another Thunderous Kick or a Draco Meteor / Sludge Bomb. So if they're Assault Vest, they'll probably take it pretty well. But I guess the thing is that Politoed is just really not doing enough for my opponent. And then I can bring in the Whimsicott, I can just go for Helping Hand plus whichever one of Naganadel plus Zapdos survives, Helping Hand, and just go for their strongest attack onto the Glastrier. So, I don't know. I think, like, my opponent didn't have full information on my team there, so I think they definitely could have played it out, but can also understand why they forfeited. Yeah, in the end, we just took advantage of the fact that they had no Dragon Resist at all, right? And with Whimsicott plus Naganadel, they didn't really have a safe lead combo. Their best lead combo actually into us would have been Gothitelle plus Glastrier specifically. especially because they were Focus Sash on Goth. So yeah, actually, if they lead Gothitelle plus Glastrier, we actually probably just lose the game if they have Fake Out. Because then turn 1 is so scary, and if they call it correctly, they will just win the match. Like, we would need to hope they don't have Fake Out or hope to cheese them with the switcheroo. But we really won this off just having a really strong lead and then snowballing it quickly. I also think they didn't need to bring out the Gothitelle there because they actually had Glastrier in the back. If they had just brought Glastrier out first, things would have been tougher. So, yeah. And if they didn't muddy water, like, this game was probably just going to be a wrap after turn 1, because then we could have actually used eject button. But yeah, I think, like, they definitely could have brought out Glastrier over the Gothitelle, which would have made things scarier. And then they also could have still played it out there. And at least play out for 1 turn and see how much damage you take from the double up and then go from there. In that position, I never want to Wormwind into Politoed because, like, the attack drop doesn't mean enough on Glastrier. Glastrier is still just going to one-shot most of our Pokemon because we're really frail. And at that point, since Glastrier is clearly going to be the Dynamax option, I just want to burst it for damage. If Glastrier has Protect and Max Guard's there, that's fine. It doesn't really matter because then you already commit a turn of your Dynamax, right? And then I can just go for Draco Meteor plus the Thunderous Kick anyway. So it really then comes down to hitting the Draco Meteor. But yeah, I think my opponent, it wasn't a lost game for sure at that point. The best Pokemon with comeback potential in this format are the ones that can boost their stats when you get in a KO. So all the Pokemon with Beast Boost, Glastrier, or Spectrier, for example, are all really, really good Pokemon for comeback potential. Anyway, I've been rambling on long enough, so let's look for our next one here. All right, getting into the third game here, and pretty classic hyper offense from this format. I don't know if I'd call it hyper offense, I guess, but obviously a lot of scary Pokemon. Man, I wonder if we can go the Trick Room route, like just go Indy Gardevoir and set up Trick Room, but is that really worth it? They have 2 Pokemon that can Intimidate, so like Zapdos can really capitalize off it, but if I'm my opponent, like I'm thinking of playing toward, like, around Togekiss. I'm very intrigued by Whimsicott plus Naganadel, because if we can eject something out, it just gives us such an advantage, right? Yeah, I don't know. Like, Trick Room doesn't feel amazing to me, because it's like, even if we get Trick Room up, what are we sweeping with under Trick Room? There's not like a Glastrier here that can just one-shot all of their Pokemon, right? So I think I like Whimsicott, Naganadel, Zapdos, and then in the back, Naganadel is primarily threatened by Togekiss, Landorus. Once again, we have Focus Sash on this Gardevoir. Indeed, can change the terrain. Does offer us redirection. Don't know what Urshifu form that is. Water is just, like, more common these days. Does have the Psychic Seed. It is really weird bringing Gardevoir, but the thing is, they don't actually have a Fairy Resist, so Moonblast is just a nice burst of damage onto anything. But I think I'm primarily playing this game around Naganadel, so we'll see. Either way, Naganedel's been very impressive both of these games, so I'm really pleased about his performance one way or the other. And yeah, I certainly slept on this Pokemon, which is, why I asked the question of the day today. Like, I just haven't really seen it at all, and it, like, just its offensive capabilities are really impressive. Okay, they're gonna go Landorus plus Aleki. I don't know if I love this. It's definitely, like, I could have led Zapdos here. You probably max Landorus though, right? Like, what I want to do is switch Naganadel out into Zapdos and go for the switcheroo onto the Landorus. The reason I'm making this play, by the way, is because I'm nervous about Electroweb, Max Quake. They could so easily just Airstream into Naganadel, I guess. But the thing is, if you commit your Dynamax to Landorus and I actually get the eject button onto it, that's a huge deal. But they could be AV Lando. They Dynamax, which I would say is a good start. Yeah, as badly as I wanted to stay in with Naganadel, like, I think it's best to just at least, like, get the eject button onto the Pokemon that I think is Dynamaxing, right? Maybe they Airstream into Whimsicott, like Electroweb Airstream into Whimsicott, that'd be interesting. Either way, let's see what item it is. Most Landorus's these days, it feels like Life Orb, but obviously you see AV pretty frequently still. Yep, it is Life Orb. Yep, and there's Electroweb. So this is really, if they Quaked here into Naganadel, we're actually in amazing shape. So that's what I'm hoping for here. We'll see. Yep, just activate Defiant, but we are at -1 speed, so even with Tailwind. And I think it's probably Airstream. Okay, they did Quake. Nice. Brilliant. That played out exactly how I needed it to. It's Still far from over, though, because I can Tailwind. You can just T-Bolt Zapdos and Airstream Whimsicott. Like, I almost want to consider Dynamaxing Zapdos here. And then I can target Landorus. I should survive a T-Bolt, right? No, I don't think maxing is right. Actually, I really don't know, because I probably just lose both Pokemon here. Oh, they max guard. That's actually good. Okay, yeah, that's the play I was nervous about seeing. So this is good, because it's like, even if you're a lucky KO Zapdos, now I just get the free switch into Naganadel, and Naganadel should be in a really prime position in this endgame. They actually just go for another Electro Web, okay. Oh, that's actually kind of an issue, I think. I really wish I targeted Alecki there, but I think it does make sense to target Alecki. Let's see, they've webbed twice now at this point. I can conserve a Pokemon. Basically, the question is, do I value Gardevoir at full HP? Because I'm going to lose both Pokemon here, very likely, right? They can just go for a third Electro Web here. That's a really nice way to get around the eject button. And I don't have Prio here. So they're going to Electro Web and then probably Airstream into Whimsicott. Okay, so I think I will switch out into Gardevoir here and go for a Moonblast onto the Landorus, but yeah, it should be Electro Web here, I think, and then Airstream. I'm really sure to target Alecki last turn. Like, the Protector was super telegraphed. I think I had a practice game where my opponent also led Alecki plus Landorus, and I think the best way around that is Indeedee plus Galarian Zapdos. Unfortunately, we don't Trace Intimidate. That would have been really sweet. But, yep, they're going to go for webs. Okay. So we have Tailwind. Landorus still has that eject button. Oh! You're slow Landorus. Okay, that's a very big deal that we get to switch it out. That's huge. This is still a very scary endgame, though, right? Like, I've taken a lot of damage with all of my Pokemon at this point already. My Tailwind's also running out, which is also concerning. And I kind of need this KO on a Alecki as soon as I can. So let's see what they bring out. Togekiss, okay. Togekiss. You're probably Scope Lens. I still have Tailwind up, but you can just Electro Web again. How many turns of Tailwind are left? 2. Like, I almost want to switch Whimsicott into Zapdos here, sacrifice Zapdos to get the free switch into Naganadel. I actually really like that. Yeah, so I'm going to Moonblast here into the Alecki and then switch Whimsicott out. Oh, actually, we want to target Togekiss because then it just sets up Naganadel for the KO. So, yeah, I'm going to Moonblast here and switch out into Zapdos. Man, I might have to Dynamax Gardevoir here. I don't have enough time. I actually think Max Gardevoir here was the play. Like, Helping Hand plus Max. Because I think regular Naganadel is fine in this game, and I think... Oh, my hair is all over the place. Oh! They protect Alecki, though. That's huge. Oh, they just double protect. Okay, I'm actually very happy about that. Yeah, I'll take that. Because we outspeed Alecki now, right, with Zapdos? Yeah, under Tailwind we do. It's their last turn of Tailwind, which is perfect. I just wish I had Protect here. Like, the one scary thing about playing with this team is we don't have Protect on anything, basically. Do I have a speed drop on this? I do, yeah. Moonblast Togekiss. And just stomping Alecki. They could follow me here, but I think it's relatively unlikely. And if they go for it, yeah, they don't go for it. Okay. Let's see if you're Focus Sash here or not. Oh, that doesn't even KO. I don't love that. Yeah, I'm just going to feint to Togekiss now. I think I needed to double up onto Alecki here. Turn 2 is really where things went wrong. We were faster with Gardevoir. Oh, I should have just targeted Alecki here. Although, honestly, Naganadel might be able to pull off this comeback. We also luckily enough get a special attack drop there, which is pretty fortunate. But I don't think we survived this, right? I really should have targeted the Regieleki there. That was a really critical mistake. Yeah, I didn't play this game super well. Because if we knock out the Regieleki there, then Naganadel can start snowballing the game very quickly. Although I guess they still have not Life Orb, just EQ in the back. So obviously I can Tailwind here. So I'm going to Tailwind, I'm going to Dynamax, and I'm going to... well, we don't know if Togekiss has Follow Me or not. There's a chance that they don't. So I'm going to Dynamax and just Ooze here into Regieleki. Best case is Togekiss protects and Regieleki tries to Electro Web. But the main thing about this game is I didn't... even though we got to eject them out... yeah, I really needed to KO Regieleki there, I think. And then, like, Naganadel actually had a very good chance of sweeping, but the thing is, I already lost too many resources at this point to win. Like, if Whimsicott were at full HP, I actually think we'd have a really good shot, but it's taken too much damage. And I gave up way too many resources to put myself in this position. Okay, so they end up not... Yeah, the problem is now I have to deal with Landorus Earthquake, because I'm just going to hit by Dazzling Gleam. The spread damage is also what made this a little tricky, and I guess in retrospect, Indeedee would have been a significantly better bring than Gardevoir. I mainly brought Gardevoir for, like, potential Moonblasts. Unless for some reason here they target, like, the Naganadel and they don't, like, Dazzling Gleam. But you should always Gleam here. Yeah. Now you just bring out Landorus. So then we have a chance maybe of Landorus. That's, okay, yeah, that's Crit Kiss. We have a chance if they actually don't have Follow Me on Togekiss. Like, if it's just 3 attack Togekiss with Protect as the last one. You should bring out Landorus here, and then you just click EQ plus Follow Me if you have Follow Me. So I think basically I have to hope that they don't have Follow Me. If you have Follow Me, you always just win the game. Because they have a 4th Pokemon anyway. Which is probably Urshifu, to be honest. So if it's Urshifu, I mean, this game's already over. But I think my best bet is to hope for them to Protect and then just EQ with Landorus, because we're so far behind. Yeah, they actually have Follow Me as well. Unfortunate. Okay, well played, well played. I really botched turn 2 of this game. Even though turn 1 worked out really, really well for us. Like, yeah, I could have oozed there, but, like, EQ, even if it doesn't outright KO us, yeah, which it does. Naganadel is just not a defensive Pokemon, so there wasn't really too much we could have done there in the end game. The main thing, okay, if I knocked out a Regieleki, then... If I knocked out a Regieleki, then it'd still be Whims. I took too much damage with everything. That's the main problem. And all I needed to do was just Stomping Tantrum. Well, maybe it was not. I don't know if it was Sash Regieleki. I was thinking it was Magnet, but if it weren't Sash Regieleki, if I just Stomping Tantrum the Regieleki the turn let my opponent Electro Web, we'd probably win the game off that turn. But I don't know. If Landorus doesn't max guard there, I was thinking they might just T-Bolt. Yeah, I think I needed to play turn 2 better. I also just got outled here, right? Like, even though we made a nice play turn 1 in, we were at a disadvantage because of my opponent's lead. And unfortunately, Naganadel just took a lot of super effective damage. The main thing that made that game tricky, too, was, like, I didn't get my Dynamax until super late. Also, yeah, Gardevoir just didn't do anything for us. I should have brought Indeedee over it, because if I brought Indeedee, it would have had the Psychic Seed. It would have actually taken the damage pretty well. And then I could have dealt with the Togekiss as well and gone for Expanding Force to knock down a Regieleki. So Pokemon-wise, selection-wise in that game definitely wasn't perfect, and I brought Gardevoir mainly because, like I said, I was like, oh, it has Focus Sash, can handle my opponent's team, and they don't have any Fairy resists, but in retrospect, we needed more defense, because this team is not defensive at all, right? It's very hyper-offense. We also could have potentially gone Gardevoir Indeedee as a lead, and just gone, like, Follow Me Trick Room turn 1, get Trick Room up, and then try to bring in something to sweep under Trick Room. The only thing is that we didn't have anything to, like, one-shot Landorus anyway, even if we got the Trick Room up, but maybe it would have given us a slightly better shot, especially because they didn't have terrain control with their team, so Expanding Force actually does some okay damage, but I don't know, if I go Indeedee plus Gardevoir, it's very likely they just go, like, Volt Switch into Max Quake turn 1, get a special defense boost, and it's like, where do I really go from there? I guess bring out Zapdos, but Zapdos still takes so much damage from that Life Orb Max Airstream from Landorus, so there's a reason why my opponent's team is, like, one of the more common, like, archetypes in the format right now. It's just super strong. Life Orb Landorus-T is incredible when Dynamaxed, and Regieleki just provides the perfect support for it. But I definitely didn't play that game perfectly, both in terms of my plays and also in terms of Pokemon selection, so definitely learned a lot. Either way, this was a really fun episode, and Naganadel put in a lot of work, so thanks so much as always for watching. If you enjoyed, please show your support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll see you all next time. All right, peace.